That was Canarios by Gaspar Sanz. And follow this lesson for free. We'll be talking about some fingering choices and the arrangement in general. But if you're interested, I do have an edition of Canarios. It's part of my Gaspar Sanz collection, Volume 1, and there's a link for that sheet music edition in the description. So this is one of the most popular classical guitar works, certainly the most popular work by Sanz, most likely. And there's lots of different arrangements of this work. Some arrangements are pretty close to the original and bare bones, and then other ones are quite romanticized and have large chords added or detuned strings and just a lot added to the arrangement. When one is making an arrangement of this music, there are actually quite a bit of choices. Because of the octave tunings of the strings on the Baroque guitar, there is a bit of a choice as to whether to include a note in the upper register or the lower register, because on the Baroque guitar, sometimes when you pluck a chorus of strings, two strings that are close together, you get both octaves. So there are quite a bit of choices, and that's why you see so many differences in different arrangements. I've tried to keep it very, very close to the original. Of course, I've added in the sixth string on occasion, so that's an addition, but it's always following just the logical musical line. So in the bass voice, keeping that register further down makes a lot of sense motivically. And in a couple of places, I've added just one or two notes to fill out a cadence and to make sense of the music, but at other times I'll glide through just the flowing musical line and just keep it a single line. So I think mine is very close to the original, but there is a certain amount of arranging that happens. In my edition, all the slurs, the hammer-ons and pull-offs that I've indicated, are all editorial, except for the 3-note ones, which are in the original tablature. So he does add slurs on occasion. But besides that, I've added one or two extra ornaments, but it's pretty much just as the original. So I think the main importance here is to partly just understand what's happening with the rhythm and the dance, but also not to overthink it too much and to enjoy it and have some fun with it as well. So in general, the piece is in 6/8. Like when it's flowing along and it's moving through the musical lines, it's generally in 6/8. Until you get to some of the cadences, and then it's in 3/4. It's all can be counted in 6/8 if you wish, and just think of it as an accent. But in general, I do think of it as a piece that has two different time signatures. So, for example, from bar 8 into bar 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 and 2 and 3 and then back to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 and 2. It's a little bit tricky to count, but you can clearly see whenever you see those like 3 quarter notes in a row, you're in 3/4 time, and it really only happens at the ends of the phrases. And to be honest, like, you don't have to count it like that if you don't want to. You could just keep counting in 6/8 from measure 8 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you could count it like that and just think of it as an accent on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It doesn't really matter how you think of it. I think it's neat to think of it in 2 different time signatures, but you don't have to. And the original tablature doesn't really indicate like a new time signature anywhere, and neither do I when I'm writing it. I just have both at the beginning, and it's up to you to kind of just look at it. In this piece, it's very, very clear, though. You can always see the groups of 3 versus the groups of 2. But don't get bogged down with this conversation. It's just an interesting thing about the piece. And in the end, a quarter note is a quarter note, an eighth note is an eighth note in this particular case. And because of the way it's written, if you just play it and just play the right durations of the notes, the accents will come out naturally. It's a very natural piece in that way. But it is worth exploring, and it's definitely worth talking about, so I do recommend that you explore those ideas. Besides that, I think let's just do a walkthrough of the piece. Sometimes I'll say like practice the voices separately, but in this particular piece, I really think it's all an intertwined texture, and it's best to practice it all because it is important in that way. So we come in on kind of an offbeat on the 5th beat, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. By the way, never really think in terms of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's really just thump, thump, da da dee da 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 dee da da da. So it's just always thinking in the dotted quarter. I use my thumb for all those down stems, no matter what string they're on. A little mordant there. For the most part, if it's kind of a more cadential thing, or if it functions as suspension from the bar before, I start my trills on the upper auxiliary, like in measure 2 there. So G, F sharp, G, F sharp. But then other times when it's in the middle of a phrase, I'll just start from the written note. So just E, F sharp, E in measure 3 there. So, like I said, if it's near the end, I'll often start from the upper auxiliary. If it's in the middle of a phrase, I just do a quick little decorative ornament, trill, and just from the written note. So let's just start from the beginning again. I'll go slow. I won't talk so much. Careful attention to the bass line here, because it's kind of truly 2 voices there. Those vibrato markings, vibrato was thought maybe a little bit more intensely on the Baroque guitar, so it was almost more like an ornament, like a trill, like a real modulation between 2 pitches. But on the modern guitar, I don't find that really works out that well, so you can add a little bit of it, but I definitely underplay those. Going into measure 18. You don't have to do his 3-note trills. I mark them, or 3-note slurs, sorry. I did mark them, but if you want to pluck the last note, go for it. I don't think it matters too much. And I add a little mordant there too. D, C sharp, D. 27. Through that whole section, don't worry about those rests in there. They're just, the rests in this piece in the bass voice are really just for rhythmic clarity. Instead of writing a whole bunch of ties and stuff like that, I just, let those eighth note rests be in there. Where were we? Around 51 or 50. Yeah, just do that bar chord a little bit early there. Right here, so you can get that third string. I had a mordant there, so D, C sharp, D. I strum that with my eye finger. There's a lot of Baroque strumming in Baroque guitar, and you could add a ton of it to this piece and do intros and stuff like that. I only do it in that one spot, but it's a nice little, the piece is a little bit sparse in some sections, so it's nice to just get ready for the end by including that. So I didn't talk a lot in that section there because it's kind of straightforward playing. I think the difficult thing about this piece is when you start raising the tempo up and just going from the very beginning to the very end. It's pretty it's kind of relentless in its forward momentum. So to go from the very beginning to the very end in one rhythmic push is the challenging part. But in terms of actually talking about fingering and stuff, I don't have that much to say. It's all fairly straightforward, actually. There's lots of different choices you can make, but I mean, I've written all my fingerings in the score. So in the end, it's just play it, but think about those rhythmic discussions that we had at the beginning and just feel that pulse the whole time. Explore the two different time signatures, or at least think of it in terms of accents. And then just get comfortable doing it. And like I said, the slurs are editorial, so you can include them or not. I think once you start raising the tempo up, you kind of need the slurs in there. But all my favorite performances on Baroque guitar, they don't add very many slurs at all. So I would like to hear it without, and I would like to play it without, but in the end, I found that when I add them, it just keeps pushing forward and flows through the musical lines a lot easier and a lot more smoothly. It's a wonderful piece, one of the great pieces in the classical guitar repertoire, and we're very lucky to have it because it's such a great level. It's just like an intermediate level, but it can be played at such a professional concert stage kind of level as well. So lots of variety there, really fun piece, and it just flows so well and utilizes the cross-stringing of the guitar very well. So it's kind of a joy to play, and I hope you enjoy it.